All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Town Board meeting for April 10th. If you'd all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call roll?
Supervisor Dwyer?
Here.
Councilman Cole? Here. Councilman D'Angelo?
Here.
Councilman Mattingly?
Here.
Councilman Schubach?
Here. Thank you. I make a motion that we accept the regular meeting minutes from March 27, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I make a motion that we pay all audited bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Correspondence is listed as addendum number 1. Any discussion on the correspondence? There being none, we'll move right into our department head reports. The police chief is going to give his a little bit later. DPW Commissioner Astorino.
Good evening, everyone. For this time period, we were out road sweeping town-wide. We probably have 60% of the town swept already. We are continuously out and about doing that process. We had an early start this year, which was nice. We did some, we're doing some tree work on Sanfordville and Covered Bridge. We did take down 2 or 3 very large trees with our bucket truck out there. There's a few more to go. Potholes, we are still out and about with cold mix. We should have that for another week or so. Then we should be able to get hot mix. Hopefully mid to late April, hot mix will be available, which will be a permanent fix. Vehicle maintenance and emergency repairs as needed. We are doing that. We did remove the wing plows from all the trucks, put them away, and that's where they should stay till next year. Road signs, as always, we're out and about replacing them. We hauled some road grit into our stockpile for next year. Airport Park, we built a wooden guide rail, took the old one down, built a new wooden guide rail. We're about 3/4 of the way done. We should be done next week with the finished product of that. Any questions, comments?
Ben, there's snow flurries out right now. Facebook says you should be out plowing.
Absolutely not. I think you're all mistaken. It's not snow at all.
Great.
Ross, stop looking out the window.
Any questions for Ben? Thank you, Ben. Recreation Director Walter.
Supervisor.
Your mic is off. Mike.
Thank you, Supervisor. My report is mainly about Mountain Lake Park. Swim lesson registration went really well. We have 83 children signed up for swim lessons to date. We still have a few openings in our oldest level of swimmers, but we did open a lot more classes for the parent-child. We had a big interest with the 2- and 3-year-old swimmers as well. So that's going well. We have pool passes that are still on sale. Now's the best time to buy your pool passes. And we have pickleball clinics that are signing up right now as well at the park. On April 13th, the Boy Scouts from Troop 45 are having a pancake breakfast. I know there's another pancake breakfast going on, so maybe you could eat twice that morning. And then April 26th, Odyssey of the Minds is having their music festival at the park, and that's a fundraiser activity for those teams. And then April 29th, we are doing a planting of 100 trees, native trees and bushes, over at Wickham Woodlands Park, and that's a program called Trees for Tribs, tributaries. And that's with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the Shade Tree Commission, and the Orange County Land Trust, and the town of Warwick. So it's a really nice project. We probably have about 30 volunteers signed up already to help with the planting, but that's really going to help protect the creek that's there and provide lots of natural habitat for the wildlife that's there as well. And that's it.
Good. Thank you, Sam.
Yep.
2 more is waiting for. Okay. We're going to go right into board reports, beginning with Councilman D'Angelo.
Okay, good evening. For the Warwick Valley Humane Society, Animal Control picked up a stray rooster from the Jones Road area. If anyone is missing their rooster, please call Warwick Humane Society as soon as possible. Animal Control responded to a home of a deceased resident and removed the owner's 17-year-old cat, who is currently being cared for at the shelter. The shelter is admitting 2 very pregnant stray cats. Residents that are feeding outdoor cats, please purchase the low-cost spay-neuter certificates from Warwick Humane now, as kitten season is upon us. A $25 cash per cat covers the cost of the surgery and includes a rabies vaccination at the Animal Rights Alliance clinics. Feeding stray cats keeps them healthy, so they keep reproducing. Please be part of the solution and not add to the problem of the cat overpopulation. April is National Prevention of Animal Cruelty Month. Please don't wait till it's too late. If you see or hear an animal in distress, abandoned or not being cared for, please reach out to Warwick Humane so the animal control officers can investigate and alleviate the situation. They currently have a wish list of things they need: newspapers, paper plates, large and small, paper towels, simple green cleaner, bleach, 13 and 33-gallon garbage bags. That's all I have for the Humane Society. The Town of Warwick, Town of Warwick's Senior Independence Program, currently they have this number of neighbors assisted this in March was 17, and the number of volunteers assisting those neighbors was 17, for an amount of 144 different, they had 144 different reasons. Okay, if you know someone that needs help with shopping, or maybe just talking to somebody, or maybe a ride to a doctor, you can call 845-986-1124, extension 400, and leave a message. And the Friendly Visitor Program coordinator will provide either some kind of service for that person. And that's all I have. Sorry
Thank you.
about that.
Councilman Cole, your report, please.
Thank you. This Saturday, from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, there's going to be what's called the Great Rake-Off at the Amity Cemetery. The local patriotic volunteers are going to work hard to rescue the historic cemetery at the corner of Amity Road and Newport Bridge Road, which contains the graves of many veterans, including the Revolutionary War veterans. It was abandoned many years ago and is dire need of care. So come with your lawn rake and gloves, leather gloves, because there's a lot of thorny plants there, and get the old grass off the gravestones so they can be cleaned respectfully. If you want more information, contact Sue Gardner, our town historian, at warwickhistory@gmail.com. And there's another event going on April 19th, which is next Saturday, and it's honoring Colonel John Cowdery. It's from 4 o'clock to 4:30 at the Warwick Cemetery. Town of Warwick historian, the Friends of Hathorne's Historical Society, will coordinate a wreath laying and a short ceremony to honor one of the volunteer participants in the Battle of Lexington and Concord as the nation begins its celebration of the 250th anniversary of our founding. Bring a lawn chair, blanket if you wish. It's only a half an hour. I don't think you need a blanket because to keep warm. Colonel Cowdery was a young man in the Battle of April 19th, 1775, and continued to serve through the entire war. He afterward followed a military and law enforcement career. He visited here frequently, marrying a local woman, and his son resided in the village of Warwick. And once again, for more information, contact our town historian, Sue Gardner, at warwickhistory@gmail.com. And the directions for the location of the grave site is you take the turn off of Hathorne Road and turn right at the gate, take the first left at the triangle intersection, and they have the Google map location, the longitude and latitude listed, but if you come out, you'll see everybody out there. The only group out there standing next to a grave site, so you shouldn't be able to miss it. It's a great way to remind everyone of the importance that the town of Warwick played in the Revolutionary War. It was key. A lot of things happened here that made the Revolutionary War successful. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. Councilman Mattingly, your report, please.
Thank you, Supervisor Dwyer. Please join the Warwick Chamber of Commerce Espresso Mixer at the Warwick Conference Center, the Mulder Chapel in Warwick, to mingle, network, and make new friends, to enjoy tasty treats, coffee, and the scenery from the beautiful indoor and outdoor spaces. That'll be at 62 Warwick Center Road in Warwick on Thursday, April 17th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. The Warwick Chamber of Commerce Tourism Center ribbon cutting will be at 4:30 sharp on Friday, April 25th from 4 to 7 p.m. at 75 Main Street in Warwick. That's right next to the Village Hall. The Tourism Center is finally ready to open, and they'll do the ribbon cutting on that day. Operation Clean Sweep is Saturday, April 26th from 9 a.m. to noon, meeting at the Chase parking lot on South Street in Warwick. Warwick is celebrating Earth Week once again with Operation Clean Sweep. It's actually April 20th to 26th. The Chamber will have garbage bags and gloves available to pick up so the community can clean up our neighborhoods. On Wednesday, April 30th, the Chamber is holding a couple of events at the Warwick Country Club, 9 Before Wine on Wednesday, April 30th. Warm up before the annual golf outing. The Warwick Chamber and the Warwick Country Club have partnered to offer 9 holes before the mixer. Register before April 27th is required regardless of membership status, and you can register at warwickvalleycc.org. And following that event, there's the after-hours mixer at 5:30, from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Warwick Country Club. The after-hours mixer on April 30th, enjoy food, cash bar, and networking with colleagues. The Greenwood Lake Chamber preparations are underway for this year's Greenwood Lake Street Fair on Saturday, June 14th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sponsors and vendors, please visit gwlnychamber.com to register and participate. The Florida Chamber of Commerce FunFest Committee, in an effort to recognize outstanding achievements by residents of Florida, has instituted a program to select recipients for Florida Citizen of the Year, Youth Achievement Award, and Lifetime Achievement Award. To make a nomination, please visit floridanychamber.com for more information. And that is my report this evening.
Thank you. Councilman Schuback, your report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This Sunday, the Pine Island Firehouse will be having their pancake breakfast. That starts about 7:30 in the morning. It's a very good pancake breakfast. If you can't make this one, at least make the Boy Scouts. Also, too, the week after Easter, which is April 27th, the Florida Firehouse will be having their tax time raffle and chicken barbecue. There are still tickets available. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Town Clerk, your report, please.
Okay, the fees collected for March 2025 were $22,763.33, and the fees paid out were $3,288.79. We had a bid proposal to install equipment for the Pine Island well. The first was from Quackenbush Water Systems for $27,132. The second was Turnbull Well Drilling for $30,150. And the third was JTP Hudson Valley Water and Sewer for $31,200. We also have a bid proposal for 12 by 18 hemmed with 30 by 3/8 inch thick grade marker flags for our veterans. The first was from the Flag Guys for $4,621.20. The second is Flags USA for $4,680.85. The third was toughflags.com for $9,439.72. And the last was a bid, we looked online through Amazon for $5,443.20. So they're not always the cheapest. And we also had a bid proposal for an additional commercial wading pool at Mountain Lake Park, and also maintenance room upgrades to, and also upgrades to our 2 existing pools. We did not open any of the bids because we only received one on time, and I had 2 other ones come in. The first was Royal Pools Construction, and I had bids from American Pool and 5 Star Pools. But the supervisor will explain that in his report a little bit more detail. Our last proposal was a request to install new electric at the Pine Island well. The first was from JM Electric and Son for $8,025. The second was CJD Electric for $8,440. And the last was Norman Odell Electric Services for $9,850. That's all I have.
Thank you. All right, we've got all of our new recruits here. I'll let the chief present his report. Well, you're not recruits anymore, right? Isn't that a bad term for you guys? Now you're officers working out on the streets.
Okay. I'm going to backtrack on my report a little bit because at last month's meeting, we gave Wally one job and he didn't do it. So since the commissioner, DPW commissioner's here, I just want to read what I read to the board last month, if that's okay. As another winter comes to an end, on behalf of the police department, I want to extend our appreciation to all of the hard work the DPW did to keep the roads safe and open. There are unsung heroes, and they often take the brunt of people's frustrations. The reality is emergency services cannot respond safely unless they clear the roads first. We truly appreciate the work that they do every day, but especially in the dangerous conditions. Now that spring is here, they'll be working on doing the repairs and maintenance, and we ask all drivers to use caution when approaching them and their work zones. This applies also to the volunteers who've already begun cleaning up the litter on the side of our roads, and our officers to assist in traffic for that. So, Commissioner Astorino, just on behalf of everyone in the police department, please extend our thanks to your workers for everything they do and for everything that they put up with. Okay. He had one job. Okay, I'll get into this week's report. Today, our officers participated in Career Day at the Warwick High School. Our display included tactical equipment, a patrol bicycle, a patrol motorcycle, yes, that drove through the halls to get into the gym. It's pretty cool. And K9 Fritz. We participate every year, and we use this as an opportunity to recruit local high school students who are interested in the criminal justice system. We do have many officers, past and present, who are Warwick High School graduates. Our supervisors attended a 2-day leadership seminar last week that was sponsored by the Orange County Police Chiefs Association and District Attorney Hoovler. As an accredited agency, we have to meet minimum standards for training and training hours. This was an excellent opportunity for our supervisory team to learn from speakers who teach around the world. The annual Warwick Little League Opening Day Parade is scheduled for Saturday, April 26th at 10 a.m. Our residents can expect temporary road closures and detours around that time in the village. We'll also be on hand at the same time at the Chase Lot on South Street with the Warwick Coalition, taking back unused prescription medications. Each year, we're able to turn over several hundred pounds of these medications for safe destruction from that event. I want to show the board one of our recent purchases here through grant funding.
Well, it's going to be risky.
Make sure I highlight that part of it. So this little device right here, we just purchased several of them. It's called the Guardian Language Translator. This is a big step in improving our communications and bridging language barriers in the community. The devices were co-founded by City of Middletown police officers Jonathan Reyes and Hensley Carabello. When connected to Wi-Fi, they can translate 144 different languages with an offline capability of 16 languages. We demoed this product last Friday, and they left one with us before the other ones are on order. By Tuesday, we had already used it on a traffic stop where we were able to assist a Venezuelan family from Queens who needed to get a ride back, and we did it with ease with this device. We were able to speak to each other in real time. I was on scene with it since I went through the demo, and on this particular traffic stop, because we were able to communicate with them, it put this family at ease in dealing with the police. So this is going to be a really valuable little tool in our toolbox all across the different areas of the town that we're able to break that language barrier. Okay, and if I can ask our newest officers to come to the front by the board, please. You just line up across there. Okay, I'd like to We've talked about these officers at several meetings. We've made resolutions to hire them. I'd just like to introduce them officially to the board. I'll start with Officer Ava Smith. Ava graduated last fall from the Rockland County Police Academy, and she also works with the Village of Greenwood Lake Police Department. So we're going to highlight here this new relationship that we've been able to develop with Greenwood Lake, where our officers and their officers are able to work in both agencies. Officer Ryan Warden, he graduated from the Ulster County Police Academy last fall. You also work in the Village of Greenwood Lake, correct? That's correct. All right. If you and your brother could turn and face the board. If you think you're seeing double, they are identical twins. Officer Michael Warden graduated from the same class in the Ulster County Police Academy last fall. Officer Justin Raybrick, he started with the Village of Greenwood Lake Police Department in October of 2023 and is currently finishing his field training orientation with us. Officer Sean Mallon graduated from the Orange County Police Academy in March in the Phase 2 program. You began Phase 1 in Rockland County. Officer Alexander Rykowski graduated from the Orange County Police Academy in March, and he was also recognized with the Defensive Tactics Award. Officer Sean Walter graduated from the Orange County Police Academy in March, where he was the class president and also received the Excellence in Emergency Medical Care Award, the Drill Instructors Award, Overall Achievement Award, and the Chief and Detective James Geary Father and Son Memorial Award for Academic Achievement. That also, if I'm correct, Sean, came with a $500 grant in your name. What charity did that go to?
I haven't spoken to it yet, but we will talk about that. So we can eventually give it back to the department that sponsored it.
That's great, and that's given in his name for that honor. So, as we've mentioned in other board meetings, when we introduce our new officers, they each wear a patch on their uniform that represents the community that we serve and all the different areas of the town. They wear a badge that represents the values and integrity of our department and then have been worn by other officers who've served this town with the utmost dedication and bravery. It is up to each of them now to uphold those same values from our past. The only exception to this is Officer Raybrick, who's wearing a brand new badge with a brand new number. So he's got the responsibility now of making the mark on that shield for the future generations that'll wear it and upholding those same values. I want to welcome each of them to the department and to the town and wish them a safe and successful career here as they serve the residents, the businesses, and the many visitors that we see here every day. You guys would just shake hands with the board.
Alexander?
You guys need to stand on separate sides.
Justin, congratulations. Ava, welcome. So it's Ryan. You're see, I already messed it up. Michael, congratulations. Ryan, congratulations. Sean, welcome.
You guys can stay up here. We're going to take one quick picture.
Sean, congratulations.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Got the camera in the right spot. Where are you going to stand?
That concludes my report unless there's any questions from the board.
Any questions for the chief?
No.
Thank you, chief.
Thank you so much.
Obviously, we've got 7 new part-time police officers. They're making a great addition within our department. They're filling an incredible need that we have as overtime costs soar within departments. Part-timers help us by defraying a lot of those overtime costs. But as you can see, there were a lot of young individuals that we have in our department, which means they're eager, they're part of the community. A lot of these officers that we had are town residents, which is a great asset for us to have. And we certainly wish them well and hope that they stay safe as they do a great job in the town of Warwick. Thank you, and great job putting this great group of people together. All right, my report begins with grants and project updates. Director Walter mentioned about the Trees for Tribs grant, which is a great thing that we were able to do to build on the riparian buffer within the Wickham Lake and Wawayanda Creek tributary, so that's a really great project, and I don't know how they came up with all those volunteers to help dig the trees, but you're welcome, Ben. DPW won't have to do it all, so that's great. There is an art display out here in the hallway from local students that put together an Arbor Day paint recognition, and we had the winners listed today, and it was a really nice event earlier in the hallway today. Airport Park, the playground project is nearly complete. The playground is installed, but I will tell residents do not go anywhere near it. There's caution tape around it. I imagine the wind is going to pull it apart, but right now it's not safe to use. It's not final. We're waiting for the rubberized matting for the park to be done. That should take another couple of weeks. With this weather that we're getting, it's a little bit tougher to get that stuff installed, so be patient. Mountain Lake Park pools, as the clerk mentioned, we did receive bids for the pool installation, but we only received one bid on time. We received 2 additional bids beyond the deadline, so we feel that it was not a competitive process. We weren't able to accept the 2 bids that came in later, so to ensure that we get the best bang for our buck and we're accepting all available proposals, we are going to extend that out a little bit further and continue to accept proposals. So the next round will be due back to us by May 19th, 10 a.m. That's where we're going to have a public opening on the Mountain Lake Park pool project. The bike hike project is still underway. The weather has not been cooperative, especially today and tomorrow, but this project is getting close to completion. I would anticipate by the middle of May, the entire project should be complete. We're still waiting on some timber to come in for the bridge that's going to go over Longhouse Creek over by the Cascade Road side of that project. Jane Street Bridge, we have a resolution tonight to award the design contract to HDR Engineering. So that project is well underway. We've got full grant funding for the replacement of the Jane Street Bridge located in the Village of Florida. And once we get the design work done, we can go out to bid and then hopefully start that project early next year. That's my goal, that's the target, and we're going to work very hard to accomplish that. Pine Island Water System, this is something we've been talking about for a long time, a little bit over a year at least, is the Pine Island Water System. We installed a new well, and with that, the well was intended to supplement that district with better water, more water, to alleviate some of the violations that that district is getting right now. We will be accepting bids this evening for a well pump as well as the electrical work to install that well. It should be done within a couple of weeks, and then we've already got the permits to tie that well into our system, and once that's done, there should be an immediate and dramatic increase in the quality of the water in that district, so very much looking forward to that. We are going to begin the work for the FEMA culverts. There's going to be 4 culverts and 1 retaining wall. Signing a contract tonight for the construction management. At the last meeting, we accepted the bids from 3 different contractors, 1 that's actually going to be doing the work, and then 2 that are actually putting the building the prefabbed structures. They're going to build all those, so we accepted all those bids, and that project is hopefully going to start pretty soon. What do you think? Beginning of May? Mid-May?
Early May.
Okay. They have a deadline in the contract to be completed before Labor Day, before September 1st. And that's obviously because we see an increased number of residents and non-residents traveling the roadways in the fall season in Warwick, so we want to make sure that all of those big projects are done before then. Wickham Sewer, this is another big one we've been talking about for quite some time now. One of the things that I mentioned to the board as an approach that we wanted to take, so for the last several years, we've been exceeding the effluent discharge limits that's set by the DEC for the sewer district, and we're not meeting the standards. We're completely incapable of meeting the standards right now with the 40-year-old sewer district system that we have in place now. So we essentially went to the DEC and asked them to sue us to comply. The DEC did sue the town with an order on consent as we requested. And in the process, they gave us interim speedies limits, which basically elevated the ability of our district to discharge effluent, not at unsafe levels. Obviously, it's all permitted by the DEC. And the main reason we did this was because we are in the process of applying for grants. To have the most competitive grant application, you need to check a lot of boxes. And if you can check one of the boxes of having an order and consent from the DEC, that is the most critical component for a successful grant application. Simultaneously, we are also doing an income survey for that sewer district alone. One of the other qualifying measures for a successful grant application is showing income need in your community. The town of Warwick overall is an affluent community, an affluent town within the state of New York, so our income levels as a town would not allow us to qualify for a lot of grants. However, this being a unique sewer district that is served by more high-density housing that is not 4-acre, 5-acre, 100-acre farms, large homes, for the most part, we feel that we can show that this district is a lower income than the overall town. We're nearly complete with that. We've had our water and sewer department out there going door to door in the neighborhoods of this sewer district, working really hard, and we are making a substantial push to try to get this income survey complete. We've met the 30% threshold required to submit, but we're still working on trying to get that MHI, median household income, a little bit lower so that we can qualify for the needed grants. Again, this is a $16 million project. It needs to happen. The life expectancy of this sewer district and the sewer plant when it was designed was 30 years. It was built 40 years ago. If we are not successful in getting grants for the sewer district, we will have to pay for it one way or another, and that entire cost will fall upon the sewer district users. We have an Orange and Rockland easement on the list of resolutions tonight. This is for the cell tower that's going in the prison property. Orange and Rockland needs an easement in order to power the cell tower, so that's being done tonight. We will be looking at a pilot for the Chancellor Lane Solar project. The Chancellor Lane Solar went before the planning board, received all necessary approvals, and in order for the town of Warwick to benefit from a tax perspective, we need to enter into a pilot agreement. You cannot reassess a property even though they're putting in multi-million-dollar solar panels, so we will enter into a pilot agreement to make sure that the town of Warwick is generating revenue, taxable revenue, as a result of the solar panels that are being installed. PMG is pavement management software. The town of Warwick did earlier this year, went into an agreement with PMG to analyze and calculate and use artificial intelligence to qualify all of our roads that we have within the town of Warwick. This project has been completed and delivered to the town board. We now have an application where we can look at video and road quality of every single town road that we own. This is a major tool that the town of Warwick can use to carefully spend the tax dollars that we have to spend on paving. Everybody wants their road paved. Now we can actually see how roads rank and how they score compared to other roads within the town of Warwick. So just because 100 residents call and say their road is bad, it might not be the worst road in the town, and it might not make the paving list for this year. This will be the greatest way for us to spend that money as efficiently as possible and really determine which roads need to be paved before other roads. Very impressed with the platform that we have. We are going to eventually make this public. Once we put together a presentation for the public, we're still kind of fine-tuning everything and making sure that it will be user-friendly. As of right now, it's really just a platform in its very early stages, but at a certain point, the public will be able to see how their road ranks and scores compared to other roads within the town. Tonight, we're going to be increasing the planning board pre-application fee from $500 to $750. This is because the town has not raised this pre-application fee in many, many years, but the cost of engineers, attorneys, and planners increases. A planning board pre-application is essentially a potential applicant that wants to meet with the planning board and meet with our professionals to evaluate the likelihood of their planning board project moving forward and if they have everything that they need to make a submittal. And as of right now, the cost of that planning board pre-application fee is not covering the total cost of the meeting, and we don't want taxpayers paying the bill for applicants meeting with our professionals. So we'll be increasing that fee. I did mention to the town board the Old Forge application that is located in the Sterling Forest area of the town of Warwick. We have received countless communications and emails, pretty much the same email written 1,000 times, saying basically the same exact thing. We feel very confident that the planning board is doing a great job thoroughly reviewing this application, as they do every single application that comes before the planning board, and we're fully confident in their decision that they make. Very exciting announcement, and the final part of my report is that tonight you're going to hear a bond resolution for a PDR project. We secured purchase of development rights on a very critical farm within the town of Warwick, and that is the Burt Farm, owned by the McFarlands, and it is located right at the entrance of the village of Warwick off of 17A. This is an 87-acre parcel of land, and it is a total purchase of development right value of $400,000. $200,000 will be bonded over time, and $200,000 is coming from a USDA grant. So it is 50% federal match and a 50% paid for through PDR funds. This is a critically important piece of property as it nearly completes a green belt completely surrounding the village of Warwick from development. The closing for that project should happen hopefully in May. That's when we're scheduled to do that. At that time, that concludes my report. We will move on to privilege of the floor on any agenda items. All right, moving on to new business and resolutions.
I make a motion to refund the remaining escrow balance in the amount of $652.50 back to the planning board applicants James and Lauren Yotis, as per recommendation of the planning board secretary dated April 3rd, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to adopt a resolution to authorize the supervisor to sign the 2024 Service Award Program Certificate, LoSAP, for the Greenwood Lake Volunteer Ambulance Corps.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to reject all pool bids submitted to the town clerk's office for Mountain Lake Park.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to authorize the town to rebid the construction of the pool at Mountain Lake Park, to specify for the bids may be printed from the townofwarwick.org website. All sealed bids must be received by the town clerk no later than May 19, 2025 by 10 a.m., at which time these proposals will be open and read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to remove Orion Blake and Brendan Wagner as members of the Town of Warwick Climate Smart Advisory Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I make a motion to appoint Michael Helm as coordinator of the Climate Smart Community, as well as appointing members Greg Galuccio and Bill Makowski as members of the Climate Smart Community Advisory Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Congratulations, Michael, and thank you.
Motion to authorize the Department of Public Works Commissioner to attend the 2025 Highway Superintendent Training held in Ithaca, New York, from June 2nd through 4th, 2025. Funds for these training sessions are in the current budget.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to adopt the following resolution, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Warwick, New York, 30311 hereby establishes the following as standard workdays for elected and appointed officials, and will report the following day's work to the New York State and local employees' retirement system based on the timekeeping system records or the record of activities maintained and submitted by this official to the clerk of this body. Elected officials, zoning board of appeals member, standard workday 8, name Glenn Ellers, current term June 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2029. Record of activity 4.21, and pay frequency bi-weekly.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I make a motion granting permission of the following applicants to serve alcohol at the Town of Warwick Parks rental facilities. All applicants have filed a certificate of liability and liquor liability of insurance in the town clerk's office.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to accept a bid proposal from the Flag Guys for the purpose of 2,888 United States flags, 12 times 18 with a 30 times 3/8 stick, grave marker flags with helmet edge and Memorial Day in the amount not to exceed $4,621.20.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to approve the increase in the planning board pre-application fee from $500 to $750.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with Muni Collab for a planning department software effective April 1st, 2025, with the fee schedule as listed below. Please see the tables below for more information.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to accept resignation of Denise McNeely as a part-time police dispatcher effective April 3rd, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to approve the police surplus vehicles and parts that are no longer in use to be auctioned. 2006 Decatur Galaxy Deluxe Radar Trailer, serial number 86H659071 for the police department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to waive the Pine Island Park fee for Sanfordville PIE program to host a potluck dinner on May 19th, 2025, between 5 and 7 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to refund $1,220 back to Walgum Construction for canceled application regarding a residential addition for SBL number 26-1-52.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I make a motion to accept bid proposal from Quackenbush Water Systems to install equipment for Pine Island Well in an amount not to exceed $132.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to adopt the following resolution, whereas all conditions precedent to the financing of the capital project hereinafter described, including a determination that the action constitutes a Type 2 action under the provisions of the State Environmental Quality Review, SEQRA, have been performed, and whereas it is now desired to authorize the financing of such capital project, now therefore be it resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Warwick in the County of Orange, New York, by favorable vote of not less than 2/3 of all members of said board as follows. Section 1, the town is authorized to acquire open spaces and areas pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 247. Acquisition of open spaces and areas includes, among other things, the purchase of development rights in farmland to preclude residential or other development of such properties. All or a portion of the indebtedness for such purpose may be issued in the form of a land installment purchase obligations pursuant to Local Finance Law, Section 29.10. The estimated maximum cost of said specific object or purpose, including preliminary costs, cost of maps, plans, surveys, estimates, advertisements, legal documents, and costs incidental thereto, and the financing thereof is $200,000, and the said amount is hereby appropriated therefore. The plan of financing of the issuance of $200,000 serial bonds, land installment purchase obligations, to finance the said appropriation and the levy of a tax on all taxable real property within the town to pay the principal of said bonds and interest thereon as the same shall become due and payable. Section 2, serial bonds in the principal amount of $200,000 are hereby authorized to be issued pursuant to the local finance law constituting Chapter 33A of the Consolidated Laws of the State of New York, herein called law, to finance said appropriation. Section 3, the following additional matters are hereby determined and stated. A, the period of probable usefulness applicable to the purpose for which said serial bonds herein authorized are to be issued within the limitations of Section 11.00A.21 of the law, and it is 30 years. B, the proposed maturity of the bonds authorized by this resolution will exceed 5 years. C, the proceeds of the bonds herein authorized and any bond application notes issued in anticipation of said bonds may be applied to reimburse the town for expenditures made after the effective date of this resolution for the purpose for which said bonds are authorized. The foregoing statement of intent with respect to the reimbursement is made in conformity with Treasury Regulation Section 1.150-2 of the United States Treasury Department. Section 4. The bonds authorized by this resolution and any bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the sale of said bonds shall contain the recital of validity prescribed by Section 52.00 of the law, and said bonds and any notes issued in anticipation of such bonds shall be general obligations of the town, payable as to both principal and interest by a general tax upon the taxable real property within the town without limitation of rate or amount. The faith and credit of the town are hereby irrevocably pledged to the punctual payment of the principal of and interest of said bonds and any notes issued in anticipation of said bonds, and provision shall be made annually in the budget of the town by appropriation for A, the amortization and redemption of the bonds and notes to mature in each year, and B, the payment of interest to be due and payable each year. Section 5. Subject to the provisions of this resolution and of law, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 21.00 relative to the authorization of the issuance of bonds with substantially level or declining annual debt service, and of Section 30.00 relative to the authorization of the issuance of bond anticipation notes, and of Section 50.00 and Section 56.00 to 60.00 and 168.00 of the law, the powers and duties of the town board relative to authorizing bond anticipation notes and prescribing the terms, form, and contents as to the sale and issuance of the bonds herein authorized, and of any bond anticipation notes issued in anticipation of said bonds, and the renewals of said bond anticipation notes, and relative to providing for substantially level or declining annual debt service are hereby delegated to the town supervisor, the chief fiscal officer of the town. Section 6. The validity of the bonds authorized by this resolution and of any notes issued in anticipation of said bonds may be contested only if A, such obligations are authorized for an object or purpose of which the town is not authorized to expend money, or B, the provisions of the law which should be complied with at the date of the publication of such resolution are not substantially complied with, and an action, suit, or proceeding contesting such validity is commenced within 20 days after the date of such publication, or C, such obligations are authorized in violation of the provisions of the Constitution. Section 7. This resolution is subject to permissive referendum. Section 8. The object or purpose described in Section 1 hereof has been determined to be a Type 2 action pursuant to the regulations of the New York State. The Department of Environmental Conservation promulgated pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and therefore no further action need be taken under SECRA. Resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Warwick in the County of Orange, New York, as follows. Section 1, the Town Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the foregoing bond resolution in summary in Warwick Valley Dispatch, a newspaper published in Warwick, New York, having a general circulation therein, together with notice attached in substantially the form as prescribed by Section 81.00 of the Local Finance Law of the State of New York. Section 2, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Second.
That was a good one. The clerk will call a roll.
Supervisor Dwyer?
Aye.
Councilman D'Angelo?
Aye.
Councilman Cole?
Aye.
Councilman Mattingly?
Aye.
Councilman Schuback?
Aye.
Let the record show 5 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion to adopt the following resolution, whereas the owner has submitted a notice of intent with the town of Warwick that it plans to build and operate a solar energy system as defined in New York State Real Property Law, Section 487(1) and B, wherein the project, with an expected nameplate capacity of approximately 2.78 megawatts AC on a parcel of land located within the town at 69 Chancellor Lane, Warwick, New York, and identified as Section 46, Block 1, Lot 12, as described where in Exhibit A, wherein the property, and whereas the town of Warwick has not opted out of the RPL Section 487, and whereas pursuant to RPTL Section 487, Section 9A, the town of Warwick has indicated its intent to require a payment in lieu of taxes, or a pilot agreement with the owner, under which the owner or any successor owner of the project will be required to make annual payments to the taxing jurisdiction for each year during the term of the pilot agreement. And whereas pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law, Chapter 43B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, as amended in the Seeker Act and regulations adopted pursuant thereto by the Department of Environmental Conservation of the State of New York, collectively with the Seeker Act and the Town of Warwick Planning Board. The Planning Board is lead agency under the Seeker with respect to the project, and the Planning Board has issued a negative declaration on August 21st, 2024, in which the Planning Board has determined that the project would not have a significant adverse environmental impact on the environment, and therefore that an environmental statement need not be prepared with respect to the project. And whereas the Town Board has determined that entering into a pilot agreement benefits the town since it increases the town's revenues and provides stability. Now therefore be it resolved, the town supervisor is authorized to enter a pilot agreement with the Chancellor Lane Solar LLC, which will result in increased revenues for the town compared to the current pilot agreement. This resolution will take effect immediately.
Second?
Second.
Now we'll have a roll call.
Supervisor Dwyer?
Aye.
Councilman D'Angelo?
Aye.
Councilman Cole?
Aye.
Councilman Mattingly?
Aye.
Councilman Schuback?
Aye.
Let the record show 5 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you.
Motion to adopt the following resolution, whereas the Town of Warwick, a New York municipal corporation, owns real property located at 51 John Hicks Drive, Town of Warwick, and whereas the premises shall be improved by a telecommunication tower on land owned by the Town of Warwick and leased to Homeland Towers LLC, the project. And whereas in connection with the installation and operation of the telecommunication tower, easements must be granted to Orange and Rockland Utilities Incorporated for the provision of utility service to the project. And whereas the project appears to constitute a Type 2 action, as said quoted term is defined in the regulation, and therefore it appears that no further determinations or procedure under the New York State Quality Review Act, SECRA, is required with respect to the project. Now therefore be it resolved by the members of the Town Board of the Town of Warwick as follows. 1, the Town Board of the Town of Warwick hereby approves the granting of utility easements in favor of Orange and Rockland Utilities Incorporated at 51 John Hicks Drive, Town of Warwick, and hereby authorizes Jesse Dwyer, the town supervisor, to execute such easement agreements and other documents reasonably required to memorialize such easement agreements. 2, pursuant to sections 617.5C2 and 617.5C25 of the regulations, the project is a Type 2 action, as said quoted term is defined in the regulations, and therefore the Town Board hereby determines that no environmental impact statement or any other determination of procedure is required under the regulations. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Second.
The clerk will call a roll call vote.
Supervisor Dwyer?
Aye.
Councilman D'Angelo?
Aye.
Councilman Cole?
Aye.
Councilman Mattingly?
Aye.
Councilman Schuback?
Aye.
Let the record show 5 ayes, 0 nays.
I make a motion to accept proposal from J&M Electric and Son, Inc. to trench and run new electric for well at the Pine Island Park in an amount not to exceed $8,025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with HDR Engineering to perform construction management services at 5 FEMA construction projects: Hoist Road, culvert replacement; Cascade Road, culvert replacement; Ball Road, culvert replacement; Pumpkin Hill Road, culvert replacement; and Old Ridge Road, retaining wall replacement. HDR will coordinate the construction, sign, and will forward a copy of the executed contract to the contractor and the Warwick Town Clerk's office. HDR will complete the construction management plan and review the submits from the contractor for each of the 5 proposals. Simultaneously will be with the pre-construction work, HDR will also prepare a change to the scope of the work for each project as requested by New York State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. HDR will complete documentation required for the town to receive reimbursement from FEMA's when the construction is complete.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with HDR Engineering to complete the design for the Jane Street Bridge over Miller's Creek. HDR will perform an existing conditions investigatory phase to better understand the roadway, bridge, H&H utility, site access, and confirm detour conditions. HDR will coordinate with the town selected supervisor and geographical contractor because additional borings, oil samplings, and geotechnical report are required. HDR will obtain environmental permits, develop the hydraulic and hydrologic H&H analysis, submit the required floodplain permit application, and size the replacement bridge structure with a new roadway design. Early in the design, HDR will confirm how the proposed new bridge will fit into the existing conditions with a preliminary roadway design.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. This is a proclamation, not a motion. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of our business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore I, Jesse Dwyer, Supervisor of the Town of Warwick, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the Town of Warwick, New York, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
Second.
None needed, but I appreciate your second.
Oh, sorry.
All right,
I just
moving
got
on
excited
to...
there.
The town supervisor has very limited things that I can do on my own, and proclamations happens to be one of them. All right, privilege of the floor on any general topic. Michael, I would like to welcome you to the floor to tell us a little bit about what you've got going on. Very good.
You got my name for the record, right? Michael Helm, E on the end.
The newly recognized Climate Smart Coordinator.
Thank you for that. And I wanted to thank Orion for getting the Climate Smart started, and I think he also got a $10,000 grant for electric lawn equipment, and so I want to thank him for those contributions to the project. And I also want to point out that the Coolest Recycling Drive is something that we will get points in the Climate Smart Community project for performing. First, the town has supported this. This is the third year, and so I've got to thank the town. Without the town, we could not be doing this. It's open to everyone in Orange County. It's free. Over the years, we've saved people more than $4,000 on their recycling fees for these things. We accept all sorts of refrigerant-containing appliances, refrigerators, air conditioners, dehumidifiers. If somebody has an extra tank of refrigerant sitting around their shed, we'll take it. Speaking of sitting around their shed, last year somebody at Greenwood Lake told me that she was bringing these out of her garage. They'd been in her garage ever since she moved into her house. And when did she move into her house? That was 14 years ago. And so I was telling this story at the Greenwood Lake Lions, and a woman sort of slunk back in her chair, looking a little bit guilty. They had an air conditioner that they put in and out of their window for a couple of years, and then it was so heavy, they left it in her closet. That was 30 years ago. So that will be coming out this year, and I know there are all sorts of people around town who have this sort of thing sitting in their basement, and so I hope you can tell your neighbors and friends about that. If they've got something, we'll take it, and we'll make sure it's properly recycled. I guess there's one other thing I want to say. I can't begin to count the number of times people have asked me if you're required to wear sunglasses when you drop off your appliance. And the answer to that is absolutely not. It's not required, but if you're dropping off an appliance and you got those on, we'd like to take a picture of you to get on social media so you get extra bonus points for that.
Can you just mention the dates and the drop-off locations?
Yes, so we're starting this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Saturday, Chester Town Hall. They're working very nicely with us. Sunday, it's in Greenwood Lake. The Greenwood Lake Lions Club is doing a great job supporting us this year. That's from 11 to 2, 10 to 2 in Chester, 11 to 2 in Greenwood Lake. Then Monday, here back by DPW, from 3 to 6:30. The following Saturday, the Florida Lions are helping us with the drop-off event Saturday the 19th. The following Tuesday, we'll be back here at DPW. And then the 26th, I don't know how we cross-scheduled it with so many pancake dinners, but the morning of the 26th, we will be down there. You can drop off your appliance and then still make it to a pancake dinner.
Very good. Thank you very much, Michael.
And I have extra copies of a brochure for everybody.
Wonderful. Maybe we'll leave them out on the front if they're not already there? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Michael. All right, any other privilege of the floor? Thank you. Our next town board meeting is going to be Thursday, April 24th at 7 p.m., and it is always preceded by a workshop that may begin as early as 5:30. I make a motion that we adjourn. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.